Most people think courage is something you're born with, like a personality trait or a rare gift. But the truth is far more human. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the presence of people who remind you that you're not alone. Courage comes from friendship, from trust, from knowing that someone stands beside you even when you doubt yourself. We don't find courage within ourselves first, we discover it in the relationships that give us the strength to try again. If you look at the moments in your life when you were truly brave, you'll notice something interesting. You weren't brave because you suddenly felt strong. You were brave because someone believed in you more than you believed in yourself. Maybe it was a friend, a mentor, a partner, a sibling. Someone looked at you and said, "You can do this." And even if you didn't feel ready, you moved forward anyway. That is the power of friendship. It becomes the foundation that courage is built upon. We often think courage is loud, heroic, dramatic. But most real courage is quiet. It shows up in everyday choices. It shows up when you take one small step toward a bigger future. And every time you take that step, the people who support you are right there saying, "Keep going." That encouragement isn't noise. It's connection. It's trust. It's the invisible hand that catches you when you fall and pushes you gently forward when you hesitate. When I talk to leaders, I tell them that courage isn't something you demand from people. It's something you inspire. And the way you inspire courage is by creating a circle of safety, an environment where people feel seen, valued, and supported. When people feel safe, they naturally take risks. They speak up. They innovate. They collaborate. They act bravely not because they're fearless, but because they know they won't face the consequences alone. Friendship doesn't have to mean years of history or shared memories. Friendship can simply mean connection. It can mean understanding. It can mean two people who choose to trust each other enough to be honest. Courage grows in that honesty. Because when someone knows your weaknesses, your doubts, your fears, and still supports you, that's when you feel strong enough to face challenges you never thought you could. Think about a time when you were struggling, perhaps more than you wanted to admit. A time when you felt overwhelmed, uncertain, or tired. And then someone reached out. They listened without judging. They stood with you instead of trying to fix everything. That moment may have been the turning point. That moment gave you just enough strength to keep moving. And that's what friendship does. It doesn't take away the storm, but it gives you shelter long enough to remember who you are. In the military, in business, in everyday life, the most powerful form of courage is the willingness to act for something bigger than yourself. Soldiers don't run into danger because they're fearless. They run because they're protecting the people beside them. Employees don't give their best because of bonuses or promotions. They give their best because they respect the team they're a part of. People don't push through hardship because they're superheroes. They push because they don't want to let down the ones who believe in them. Friendship creates responsibility, not obligation, responsibility. The kind of responsibility that says, if you're here for me, I'll be here for you. And when 2 or 3 or 10 people share that responsibility, courage multiplies. It becomes stronger. It becomes contagious. Because when you see someone stand up with bravery, you think, if they can do it, so can I. We grow up believing that independence is the ultimate sign of strength. We're told to be self-reliant, to figure things out on our own, to never ask for help. But the irony is that self-reliance is not what unlocks courage. Interdependence is. The ability to lean on people, to trust people, to let people in, that's what gives us the emotional fuel we need to be brave. Courage is a team sport, not a solo performance. Many people think vulnerability is the opposite of courage. But it's actually the birthplace of courage. When you open up to someone, when you say, "I'm scared," or "I'm unsure," or "I need help," you're not showing weakness. You're showing trust. And that trust is the first step toward becoming stronger. You can't be courageous without first being vulnerable. And you can't be vulnerable without friendship. Courage doesn't show up the moment you need it. Courage shows up long before, in the conversations you have, in the relationships you build, in the support system you nurture. It grows slowly, quietly, patiently. And then one day, when life demands it, courage steps forward, not because you asked it to, but because it was prepared by the people who believe in you. We often look at someone successful and think, they must be incredibly confident. But confidence doesn't appear overnight. It's shaped by the people who tell you that you matter. The people who remind you of your potential. The people who push you not because they want something from you, but because they want something for you. Those people are your friends. And courage is simply the result of that support. If you want to grow in courage, don't start by trying to eliminate your fear. Start by building deeper friendships. Find people who challenge you, who encourage you, who tell you the truth even when it's uncomfortable, and who stay when things get hard. The right friendships will make you braver than anything else. And if you want to help someone else become courageous, be that friend. Be the one who listens. Be the one who believes. Be the one who stands beside them in the dark. Sometimes all someone needs is a voice saying, "I'm here," and suddenly they can face the impossible. Life is difficult. Challenges will come. Doubt will find you. Fear will test you. But if you have even one person who stands with you, you'll find courage where you never expected it. You'll take risks you never imagined. You'll become someone stronger than your past, braver than your fear, and more powerful than your excuses. Courage does not come from perfection. It comes from connection. It comes from friendship. It comes from knowing that you matter to someone, that someone cares enough to lift you up when you fall. And when you carry that truth within you, fear loses its power. Because you're no longer standing alone. Every great story of bravery, every accomplishment, every breakthrough begins with someone saying, "I believe in you." And sometimes, you need to hear those words from someone else before you can say them to yourself. That's why we need friendships. That's why we need each other. That's why courage grows in community. So the next time you feel afraid, don't look inside yourself for strength. Look beside you. Look at the people who have stood with you, supported you, encouraged you. Let their belief become your courage. Let their friendship become your strength. Let their presence remind you that fear may be loud, but it's never louder than the voices of people who love you. Because at the end of the day, courage doesn't come from being fearless. Courage comes from friendship. Courage comes from the people who remind you that you were never meant to walk this journey alone. And when you understand that, you realize something profound. Together, we are braver than we could ever be apart.